So my name is Oskar. My artist name is Oskar with a K. The reason why I have that name is because my name is spelled with a K. It is actually spelled with a K. Some people I've been messaged before and asked if I was spelling it that way to be different, but it is actually spelled with a K. So my dad's Swedish, it's my Scandi background, and that's how you spell it in Sweden, so there we go. I'm a muralist. I paint things like this, like large typographic murals. I'm a workshop leader. So a lot of my work is based around working with groups of young people, working with communities, and doing participatory murals, basically, working together to produce large-scale artwork. And I'm also a Buddhist, so this is a bit of an unusual talk tonight for me, and I feel particularly nervous because it's a slightly unusual topic. But what I really want to share with you tonight is, in a way, the two key foundations of my life, which are public art and Buddhism, and just share a little bit about how my Buddhist practice affects the way that I work. And it feels like a funny thing to speak about because it's something that is very it's close to my heart. It's something I don't speak about publicly that much, and it feels quite special to be able to share with you how my public art, my Buddhist practice kind of come together. I'm going to bring you back about 12 years, and I'm 17 years old, and I'm walking through the front doors of the Brighton Buddhist Centre. And at this time, I was really, really into graffiti in Brighton, so I was painting a lot of graffiti. I won't go into the details, but that was all happening, and I was feeling very confident about my impact within Brighton, within that particular scene. But throughout the rest of my sort of life at that time, including school, friendship groups and stuff, I was really quiet. I felt very, very socially awkward, and at this time, I thought I'd take a pragmatic approach to that, basically. So the first thing I thought of was, I'm going to buy a book by Paul McKenna called Confidence, and I'm going to listen to hypnosis CDs to try and make myself confident. That didn't work that well. The next thing I tried was I got into pickup. I thought maybe I'll become incredibly attractive to women if I learn pickup, and that massively failed. And the third thing that I thought to try was meditation. So the idea with that really was that if I learn meditation, then I will, and kind of still my mind, then I'll just kind of exude this sense of confidence and ease, and I'll just be a really attractive person. And I'll be like those guys in my year that these alpha guys that just seem so at ease. Of course they weren't, at the time, being 17, but that was my plan. So that's how I ended up at the doors of the Brighton Buddhist Centre. And 12 years on, I'm still doing graffiti of sorts. I'm still doing public art with spray paint, doing a large-scale kind of letter-based work. I'm still into the Buddhism. I've actually asked for ordination within my particular tradition. And I don't have time to go into what that means, but it just means I'm quite into it, really. As I said, today I want to share a little bit about how these two threads in my life cross over. Oh yeah, this is the name of the talk. I couldn't resist calling it this. Okay, so a few months ago I received this message, and I got this message from Pauline, and Pauline, she runs a company called Civic and Social, and she does really great things. She helps kind of artists and projects get funding. She puts on really great community events, and she's just a mover and shaker. She's one of those people that you just want to know because they know everyone, and she's really enthusiastic, and she's great. So I get this message from her, so we have a phone call, and she says to me, I've got a project that is absolutely perfect for you, and I really, really need your help with it. basically, Rich, who's an illustrator, he hasn't really painted murals before. He doesn't have experience painting murals. And we really need you, we really need your help and support with this, because you really know what you're doing. And you've done it for years and you're great at it. And she's such a flatterer. She knows exactly what I want to hear, which is that, I'm competent, I know what I'm doing, I'm good at it, all this. So she says all that stuff, and I said, of course I'll help out with this project. So the project is in Altrincham, so we meet in Altrincham. Me, Pauline and Rich, and we're looking at these big hoardings. They're like these big wooden hoardings, and we're going to be painting them over the course of a weekend. And Rich and Pauline are looking at me and basically saying, so you just tell, you tell us what we need to do, because you're the one that is the professional in this scenario, so please just tell us what we need to do to make this mural happen. And I'm starting to feel, quite sort of intoxicated by, like I'm the one who knows what I'm doing. All right, okay, let's go. All right, well, we need this primer, we're going to be rollering this, we're going to be doing this kind of grid system with it, we're going to be using these paint pens, they're great, they're refillable, they'll work fantastically. And the more that I talk, then the more kind of large my head gets, and I'm just in this position where I'm just like, these people really think I know what I'm doing. This is fantastic. I love this. So we move on to the event, which is happening over the course of a weekend, and over that weekend, we're drawing these characters. This isn't in my style. This is in Richard's style, which is he had been doing portraits of local people in Altrincham. And we were illustrating these portraits on a wall. And over the course of the weekend, it was amazing. We had people coming up to us who recognised themselves and their own portrait on the wall. Again, the praise kind of just kept on pouring in. People just in, like amazement of what was being kind of produced on the wall. My ego kind of kept being fed. It was wicked, it was great, it was a really good weekend, it was a very sunny, lovely weekend. Sent off my invoice, and then I get a message from Pauline saying we need to have a call. And what happened is, on this wall, all the, this was a few days after some rain, all the characters that we've been drawing started to just drip down the wall, basically. So it looked like this guy had been crying, and I'm mortified. I'm so embarrassed, because obviously I'd been in the position where I was supposed to know what I was doing, and I recommended some paint pens that were water-based that happened to get rained on, and the wall looked like absolute crap. Rich had to go down and paint white over all of these bits. I then had to go down and put on some wood sealant on there. And on the day I was doing that, there was a moment where I got my water bottle and I was splashing it onto the wall after I put the wood sealant on, splashing it onto the wall, and then frantically rubbing it like that, and filming myself doing that. So I could send it to Pauline and the client and say, look, it's working, it's fine, it's fixed now, this will be totally protected. And that was quite a low point, I'd say that was quite a low point. So why am I bringing this in? Well, funnily enough, being that all my work is public facing pretty much, it's all outdoors, I'm engaging with the public a lot of the time, I do get quite a lot of praise. A lot of people come up and kind of notice and mention things quite a lot of the time, and I quite like that. I do have a thing for that. Also, I grew up doing graffiti, and the basics of graffiti are is you pick a name and then you write the name on things. So there might be a bit of an ego thing in there. I'm not completely sure, but maybe a bit. So praise has been quite a significant part of my life in a way. Having the validation of someone saying, yeah, you're good at that, that's amazing, all of these things, and feeling quite inflated from that that's a significant part of my life. And I think it's a significant motivator in a way. But the problem problem with praise is that I'm putting all the control outside of myself. So what ends up happening is the more that I'm getting intoxicated by praise, then the more control I'm giving in a way to the world and the opinions of lots and lots of people, including the online community, to say whether or not I'm worthwhile. That's kind of what tends to happen. So what I found is after like big projects, for example, and after big weekends like this, where I'm receiving a lot of praise, things like this can happen where suddenly I'm in a position where I'm being blamed for something, where the tide turns and that opinion that I was so dependent on, when the blame comes in, which at some points it does, or I start being ignored or forgotten, that is incredibly painful. And it actually feels like quite existential in a way, because I've put so much of my value in the hands of others that I've forgotten that I've got, in a way, I'm deeper than that. I have intrinsic worth that is lower down, is deeper down than the praise and blame that kind of oscillates at the top. And I keep on having lessons like this. I keep on having things like this happen where I invest so much in people's opinion, and so much in receiving praise, and then I just kind of come crashing down to earth. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about, is just that, I suppose, a reflection of how praise kind of comes into my work and the effects that it does have on me, and in a way an intention that I'm setting that is to try and have the anchor of myself deeper than the kind of coming and going of the praise on the surface. This wasn't supposed to be rude, but now I don't. It wasn't. So. Okay, so I think this was probably about maybe this was about a month and a half ago. I was stood in my kitchen and I was filling up the kettle, and the context for this time, I'm feeling incredibly stressed basically in this moment of filling up the kettle, and the reason why is in about a week and a half, I'm helping put on the Withington Walls Paint Jam, which is a street art festival in Withington with hundreds of people hopefully attending, and there is just an unreal amount to do to make that happen. I'm in the middle of a job and it is overrunning, and the next job that I have along, I shouldn't really have that job because I put that week aside to work on Withington Walls Paint Jam, and yet the job is in the book and the current job I'm doing is starting to nudge into that second job. I have conjunctivitis at that time, so I've got a 1.5-year-old daughter, and I don't know if she gave it to me. I won't blame her, but it's likely. So I was actually going to put in a slide of this, but I decided it was too graphic. Like, my eyes were so red. I can't understate how red my eyes were at this time. So on the day before this morning of filling up the kettle, I'd gone to get my car serviced, and the woman serving me was very hesitant to give me a courtesy car. She was looking at me very weirdly, and I had to say, I have conjunctivitis, by the way. I'm not stoned. And she was like, oh, okay, all right, that's cool. I was kind of thinking, like, so, oh yeah, and at that getting the car service, I got told that my car has terminal rust. So it looks fine on the surface, but its innards are rotting. And so, yeah, on this particular morning, I'm feeling really, really stressed, and I'm filling up the kettle, and I go and put it on the hub, it's not bloody going on. It's just not going. I don't know if you've had that, but you're trying to put it on and it's just not sitting on. And I just get this like complete rage that just kind of splits through my entire body, and I punch the kitchen counter really hard. And as soon as I do that, I'm like, that was incredibly stupid. That was such a stupid thing to do. It's my right hand, that's my painting hand. And I'd actually thought before, wouldn't it be terrible if something was to happen to my right hand? I should really get insurance or something, because that would be awful. And I just punched the kitchen counter, and now I can feel there's something really wrong with my hand, basically. But I am in the middle of a job, and the deadline is pressing on that job. I'm doing a bit of like, I'm moving my hand around and like trying to feel like, if I had a brush, like how does that feel? I'm doing a bit of that. I'm like, look, it hurts, but I'm going to have to just go in and finish this job, basically. So I go in, and I'm working in a changing room. That's what I'm painting, is a changing room. So working in a tiny changing room when you're already feeling quite overwhelmed, I wouldn't recommend that very much. You know, it just wasn't the best kind of space to be in. And as I'm working, my hands just increasingly like getting more and more painful throughout the day. But I'm continuing, because I said I would continue, and I'm not gonna kind of back down from the commitments that I've made, because I can handle this, and I'm going like this is happening. This is what's going to happen. Is I'm going to finish this job, and then I'm going to do the next job, and then I'm going to put on the paint on. That's what I'm committed to. That's what's happening, right? Continue throughout the day. By the time I'm driving home, I'm in like complete agony. Like as I'm turning the steering wheel, I'm just like shouting, just like ah! In my car, just like absolutely screaming in the car. And throughout this day, I'm just that sense of kind of bubbling overwhelm is just like pushing kind of closer to my face, basically. And I'm trying to reply to messages, and I'm trying to kind of keep on top of all the various commitments that I've made. And I'm just incredibly overwhelmed at this point driving home. I have my friend Chandra over for dinner that night, and my partner Amy is in. And when I arrive home, they can just see that I'm not doing well, basically. I just look really strained and tired and upset. And I sit down on one of those IKEA Huang chairs, sit down, and I just say, I'm not coping. I'm not coping with this. And actually, I need help. I need help. It's a really kind of potent moment for me to say that. So in Buddhism, as probably a lot of people will be aware of, there's a lot of talk about kind of the ego and self and identity and that kind of thing. And sometimes people talk about smashing the ego, killing the ego. I don't really like words like that, because they sound a bit kind of egoic and angry in themselves, but there is this idea of, or experience of, I guess, of just one's identity becoming looser and more transparent as time goes on. That's part of Buddhist practice, is to go from a tight, kind of very rigid sense of self to something that is more, is looser, right? And a big part of my sense of self is being competent, is being perceived as being competent, and knowing what I'm doing, as I mentioned in the last story. And this drive home, with my hand hurting and just feeling very overwhelmed, I knew that I was reaching a point where I wasn't able to cope with what was going on. What was really particularly scary about that is that it felt like my identity was starting to kind of cave in, because so much of it is wrapped up in having my shit together, being able to follow through, being a competent person. what this experience was saying to me is that you're not going to be able to do what you said you do. You're not going to be able to finish this job necessarily. And this was really, really scary. But what happened when I sat down and said, I'm not coping, I need help, was instead of terrifying abyss, I actually just felt a huge amount of relief. I just felt a massive amount of relief. I didn't have to hold on to this tight idea of myself in a certain form. I was able to allow that to just loosen and even fade away for a moment where I just sat there and just said, I just feel a bit broken right now and this is just too much. And the first things that happened was that my friend turned to GP, he offered to cook dinner, and my partner and me offered to help me do some admin to help clear the decks a little bit. And I then messaged a friend about taking over this job that I was doing, just finishing off the job. And since that point, I've been much more aware of how much I commit to, because I'm not an American entrepreneur. I'm not like 100% work all the time. That's all I'm going to do, and I'll just take it all on. That's just not who I am. I like to have a somewhat balanced life. It's not just all about work. And I think this experience really just hit home. This was a point of where I had to ask for help, and since then I've been much more aware of what I've been taking on. The final project and story that I wanted to talk about was the painting of this building. So this is in Edgeley in Stockport, and I got a call from this guy John, and John and Sophie, his partner, run Brit Studios, and Brit Studios are in Great Northern Warehouse and they're in Stockport. They're wicked, they're really, really cool. I'm sure a few people will know them in here, but they also run Art Battle Manchester, which is kind of like this, but like a club night, and everyone's like looking at everyone else painting. It's not my thing, but like it is very cool that they run it. And John and Sophia are more of those people in my life that are just so great to know, because they absolutely know everyone. And they're so keen to connect artists with opportunities and things like that. It's absolutely wicked knowing them. And John called me and he said, I've got this wall in Edgeley. It's a community project that involves a group of 10 teenagers. It's going to be connected with Stockport County Football Club. It's this wall, which is more than one story. It's multiple stories. It's maybe 2 or 3. And that's quite big, probably one of the biggest things that I would have painted, and that's fantastic. As a mural artist, I just want to paint typography as big as I can possibly paint it. That's kind of an intention. So he told me about this project, and I was like, yes, let's do that. So the first stage of the project was that we got this group of 10 young people local to Edgeley in Stockport together. And I was working with a poet called Ruth, and we were doing this kind of combination of a writing workshop and a canvas painting workshop where we were doing stenciling and spray painting and things with this group of young people. They were loving it, it's wicked. We then were kind of building up to the point where there were the 10 young people, some of them were like this big, they were pretty small, and I only had like large overalls. If you ever try buying disposable overalls, they assume it's a bloke that's like this big is like the smallest people that are going to wear overalls. So you can imagine like some 13-year-old who's like this big in a high vis and a giant pair of overalls, right? And we're walking down here and there's like a string of us, and this is a really big junction. This is like a massive roundabout. So it's just up from Stockport Station. So we're getting like a lot of weird looks, which is funny. And the initial part of this wall is we're painting the bottom half here And I painted some letters, and the young people are adopting a letter each, and they're going mad within the letter that they've been allocated. And it's great because it's being seen by loads of people. They live in that area, and they're just really excited to be painting with spray paint outdoors. Spray painting is really fun. So we do that, and then the next stage is for me to come along on another day and paint the upper half of this wall. So we're having a scissor lift delivered, and this might be news, but cherry pickers and scissor lifts tend to be shit. They tend to be really knackered, and I don't think I've ever rented one without it going wrong in some way. So a scissor lift arrives, and it's a little, it's still like a mammoth of an object, but it's one of the quite small ones that's a little electric one, and it's had a hard life. It looks really knackered, and I'm like, I feel slightly unsafe on this, but let's just see what happens. I use it throughout the day, just going up and down and painting the top half and things like that. And a local councillor, Richard, he's kind of thought, like, right, okay, so we've got a scissor lift here, right, but we can't like leave it here overnight because it's just far too tempting to go. If there's a scissor lift that's in reaching height, you've had 2 beers, like, it's just going to be, someone's going to get in it. That's just what's going to happen, right? So we have to find a place to store it. Richard's been going around the whole local area because these don't actually fit through double doors. They are small, but they're not that small. So we are really struggling to find somewhere to store it overnight. But Richard finds the army barracks, which just happened to be over multiple crossings on the roundabout and like multiple 100 meters away. I mean, I can see them, but that it is across a massive roundabout junction. Okay, I haven't tried to kind of move the thing back and forth very much by this point, but scissor lifts have like a joystick, like an old console, and it's getting to the end of the day, so I'm like, right, let's wrap it up. And I start driving this thing, and it's like walking a dog. Like you've got the scissor lift here, and then you've got this joystick with a lead, and then you're kind of just like walking alongside it. And this old boy is struggling straight away. You're doing that, and it's going like. And it's going like this speed. It's literally going about 1 mile an hour, and I'm like, okay. And we go across like a little road, and you've got the pavement where it kind of has a slight incline, and it's really not liking those inclines at all. I'm kind of going up, and I get to the pedestrian crossing, and I press the button, and I'm waiting for the green man. With this scissor lift, and I'm just having these like images flash up in my head of like a Manchester Evening News article, graffiti artist parks scissor lift on main roundabout junction in Stockport, causes chaos. I'm having those like flash in my head, just like slowly going across the street. It managed it. It's okay. Managed it to get back to the barracks where it can be charged. So catastrophe avoided. Now we get to the finished mural. It looks like this. So this is a poem that Ruth, who I was working with, wrote based on input from the young people. Each of these letters were adopted by one of the teenagers, so you can see all the different kind of styles that they've been going for on them. They loved it. It was amazing to have like such a multifaceted project, and the Scarf My Father Wore is a football chant from Stockport County, and Stockport County happened to go up a league, a what? Division. right after this mural was painted. So it's become like a staple of the community, which is absolutely fantastic. But just a little bit before then, this is the mural reveal. You can't really put a curtain on a mural, never tried it, but this was when everyone came along who was involved in the project, including local councillors, some of the football players from Stockport County, the young people, parents, just like local community members. Brit Studios was there, press. It was just like amazing, and it was amazing weather, and we were all just looking at this mural, and I was just like, wow, this is awesome. You know, this is awesome. This is amazing, right? And we do all this stuff. We get photos taken. The kids are meeting their heroes who are playing for Stockport County. And I'm not making this up. Like the sun was setting. It was starting to set now. This isn't just for the story. The sun was setting, and I was walking just after this meeting. I was walking down here to go and get a lift with John back to my house, and I was thinking to myself, it doesn't get better than this. That's what I was thinking to myself. It doesn't get better than this. This includes every single thing that I possibly want from the project. It's absolutely amazing, this project. And I kind of said, it doesn't get better than this. And then I said, like, it doesn't get better than this. Like, it kind of changed, like, and there was a little bit of sadness in there actually. It was like I can get paid more money, the client can be bigger, it can involve more people, and I can get more fame, and I can get all of that, but it won't get better than this moment. It's just not, that's not possible. I can't conceive how that could be possible. It was just too perfect. And the sadness in that was just realising, like, oh, I so wanted work. I so wanted my work to complete me. I so wanted it. I so wanted there to be a project where I would just be able to rest and just be like, I'm complete. I feel at one. I feel complete. I feel totally, nourished and whole. And just in that moment, recognizing like this is such a beautiful moment, and it's so great, and it's just like it hasn't completed me. I've been looking to this thing to complete me, and recognizing in that moment, like it never will. It never will. My work can take me so far, and it can be such a fantastic part of my life, but it is never going to be that thing that completes me. And I think what feels positive about this reflection is that if I can approach my work not from the place of looking for it to complete me, but from the place of that it's a beautiful thing that can give me so much, but I can't hold it to that level. It's like a relationship. If I think that a relationship will complete me, it's only going to cause suffering. It's only going to cause more suffering. It's only going to cause the suffering of the other person. My work is the same. If I can just see for what it is, which is a beautiful thing, which is a thing that gives me so much joy and pleasure, and hold it to that standard, then I'm just going to be a happier person, and I'll just have a more enjoyable time of my life, basically. So I think I will leave it there. But thank you very much for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure, and there's time for Q&A as well if you could want to ask any questions.